Hey everybody, Brad Jost here to let you know that we have seen season 3 of Jurassic World Chaos Theory. Just wanted to let you know this is a completely safe video slash podcast to listen to. It's myself, Tom Jurassic, discussing our spoiler-free thoughts on the season. I hope you enjoy this episode. We give you plenty of warning about that in the episode, but stay tuned later in the week for full spoiler content. But this one, totally safe, spoiler-free. Enjoy. Welcome, everybody, back to our conversation about Season 3 of Jurassic World Chaos Theory. We had the chance to watch the season a little bit early, like usual. So thank you to everybody over at DreamWorks and Netflix and everything for giving us the chance to watch this show a little bit early. It was like a few weeks early, so I appreciate that. We've compiled all of our notes. We've got everything ready to go. We've got a spoiler-free chat here for you today, so stay tuned for that. And then follow it up with when the show releases, we'll have a full spoiler chat and a conversation, a full spoiler conversation with Scott Kramer from the executive producer and showrunner over at the show. And we had an awesome conversation, so please don't miss that one. But
I
Tom,
do just need to say,
yeah.
Scott, I'm sorry. I won't miss an interview again. Please forgive me.
Yeah, I had to show you the little clip of that right before we started just to get you in the mood. But it's going to be a fun one today. And again, this is going to be, no spoilers at all. So we'll kind of tiptoe our way around the conversation as best as we can. As always, it is a little difficult to kind of fully talk about things and give you like a major
Yeah.
breakdown in the spoiler free section, but we'll do our best and we will absolutely not spoil any of the details. But Tom, how did you let's just get your quick review. Like, how did you enjoy season 3?
I thought it was really good. It did a lot of what I wanted it to do in terms of the kind of trajectory of the story and some of the key beats throughout. And I thought it brought us some interesting new characters and some great new animals. So really, it's kind of what you want out of a series of this show, and I think it's especially interesting without spoiling anything, thinking about the direction of where this is heading going forwards.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very interested to see what happens there. But yeah, I think this is I think it's a very consistent series so far. This
Mm.
season was exceptional, just as much as any of the other seasons, maybe more. It might be my favorite season of the bunch. So it's hard to say though. It's hard to say because season 1 really like blew me away with like the tone and everything. I was like, "Oh, this show is like
Yeah.
excellent. It's a really good show." And then season 2, more of the same and some really it kind of I feel like it got scarier, you know? And
Yeah.
season 3 is such a good mix of a lot of different aspects of the show and I think it compiles everything that I really want out of like a Jurassic story, into this season. So I was really excited about that. And it does so much of like what I wanted it to do. And it puts these characters in, I think, interesting situations with each other. And
Yeah.
so that's going to be fun to explore and see what people say about like the relationships, throughout this show, whether it's,
Yeah.
with the camp fam, with the new characters, with whoever, the bad guys. There's a lot of interesting dynamics, I think, between these characters. One of my favorite
I
aspects
think
of oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say on that, I think probably the most interesting thing and the thing that I didn't really expect is how it builds on the ending of season 2. So actually, without giving anything away, people have different reactions to Brooklyn and her decision. And I found that really interesting how they explored that narrative throughout the season.
Yeah, this show just picks right up, dude. And
Mm.
there were some elements where I was like, oh, maybe I should have revisited some of those, conversations that they
Yeah.
had, and some of the elements there, because there was like specifically one aspect that I wanted some clarification on, and I didn't get that clarification. I never went back and checked it out, but it's not a big deal. It wasn't like anything major, um but yeah, with this season, one thing that is I think a little bit different is it kind of gets you in this like nice cozy vibe from time to time.
Yeah.
The trailer shows us that we go to Italy, and
Yeah.
we meet some new characters and stuff. And it's like a good vibe. Like I think the music in like those sections of the show, it's like really chill and really nice. Like Leo does a great job of like bringing a new element to the musical, score.
Mm.
And I just thought it was like very chill and cozy. So I thought that was a completely different vibe for this season. So I was definitely down for that.
I think it creates a really interesting juxtaposition because you get those moments, but there is also um kind of like a more sinister undercurrent, particularly with how the show chooses to use one dinosaur as kind of like a recurring threat throughout the season, that I thought was really cool, because you kind of have these moments of nice, almost like homeliness, that are juxtaposed with actually dinosaurs are in our world, which is kind of, in a nutshell, exactly what you expect for this part of the timeline. It's kind of like, how is everyday life being affected by suddenly these dinosaurs being present? So I thought it was quite cool to see how they balance that and sort of walk that tightrope this season.
Yeah, man. The dinosaurs this season are everywhere. There's so many
Yeah,
dinosaurs, and it's very satisfying. Like having this many dinosaurs, so many different species, so many different kinds
yeah,
of attacks and things, and it really puts these characters in some awesome situations. So there's a lot of like really fun dinosaur moments that I cannot wait to talk about. So to
yeah,
check out the spoiler conversation because there's some really good stuff. But the action is very exciting. It's very fun. And it's very flowing. Like I feel like this season flows from like storytelling wise. It tells like a really good story from start to finish, and
yeah,
it feels like it's jumping around, from place to place, but it kind of it's so I don't know how to describe it, but it just flows really well with the different stories that they're telling in the season and everything culminating. So I really dig that, and like you said, the way it culminates, like cannot wait to see what, and if we get the chance to see what happens next.
yeah. I think it's interesting how it kind of builds on season two quite a bit, and actually there's it builds on season one and two, I'd say, actually, because you get a resolution to some of the storyline from season one, which is quite interesting. And it kind of just sort of gives you. It basically is a sum of its parts of season one and two, right? Because it takes all of those components, it then throws them into the mix and says, actually, this is how this thing is connected, this is where this thing is connected, and this is what these things together were leading towards, which is quite cool. I do think it's worth talking about, and obviously we won't go into detail, but from the trailers as well, people can take away that maybe there is some correlation to the films to some degree here. And I think it was quite cool with how it navigated that. Again, kind of like that third season of Camp Cretaceous, where it tapped into the films, but also had its own standalone story. And I think that's something that you see here again quite nicely.
Yeah, that was actually my next note here. I just
I feel like I talked around that so well. Like, I am so proud of myself for that.
yeah, man. I think it's a tough one to talk about, but like I think I think it pushes the boundaries, from things we've seen previously with this show and the other show, in terms of connecting itself to like, the world that it's in and the world of the
Yeah,
movie. And it helps us, I think, it really helps like expanding the lore and talking about like different things that are happening. I really love that it was pushing those boundaries and doing things that we've kind of wanted to see happen. And man, it was very fun, and I can't wait to talk about those moments. But yeah, so let's talk about. We talked about some dinosaurs. Is there anything we can talk about specifically dinosaur wise? I don't know. It's just great. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
there's really cool moments. Um, we get obviously the trailers show us the market in Malta, so that's very cool to see.
yeah,
Very excited to see that. We see the Italy portion, which like I said, it gives us not only that cozy vibe, but it gives us a completely new kind of area. And
yeah.
we get a lot of snow this season too, which is nice. We of course we have gotten snow before. It is becoming more common in the Jurassic universe. We did. I think we did get it. Obviously, in Jurassic World, there was like a little
Yeah,
beginning moment there with the birds stomping, um, and we did get some in Camp Cretaceous, on
yeah.
Manticore Island, right? There was like a whole snowy
Uh-huh.
landscape. And then, of course, Jurassic World Dominion gives us, a bit of snow.
Mhm.
But, like, it was nice to see it expanded
Actually,
again.
I'd say Dominion a fair bit of snow because you have that lake sequence, but also you have the Apatosaur at the start, so
Yeah.
I think there is a decent bit sprinkled in there.
Yeah, so it was nice to see it, come back here and
Yeah,
utilized in fun ways, at least. So, I it's still kind of, to me, it still feels fresh because we are so used to seeing jungle. And I like that this show was like it was taking two drastically different settings, but still making it
yeah.
feel really cohesive, with Malta and Italy. So, um, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there with the settings and everything. So,
There's a
and one in
a lot of
particular.
stuff. Oh,
Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, I don't wanna
I was
tiptoe
gonna
too
say
far.
there's, a lot of stuff that I'm excited to talk about in the spoiler section in terms of
Mhm.
building out the lore of a certain location as well.
That's what I was gonna say as well, yeah.
We're literally same wavelength.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of intrigue this season, I think. A lot of, like, like I said, with those character dynamics, but, it's good. There's a good mystery and just wondering how these characters are gonna solve these issues. I think it really, plays out in an interesting way, I think. So,
Yeah,
I'm excited to see that kind of, and I think this show has done exactly what people want, and it
yeah,
hasn't, the first series definitely played more towards a younger audience, but this show has certainly upped the ante a little bit with the demographic, and I think like they're pushing their boundaries with some of those relationships,
mm.
with the intrigue and everything, and how that all plays out. So I'm hyped to see like the conversations surrounding some of the more mysterious elements of this show. So
I think
um
it's interesting because I've seen people draw parallels between Chaos Theory and Camp Cretaceous and the Clone Wars, and I think it is
mhm.
so true that it's gone on quite a similar trajectory in terms of the early seasons being more for younger fans, but the show almost growing with its audience, to the point where now what we've got does feel quite a bit more mature. And actually, I will say it. There's moments where people get eaten in this season, so it's not as
Oh
if it
yeah.
strays away from that.
There's just a lot of, like, random deaths in this season, and I know, like, a majority of the adult, fan base will be happy about that because that's always one of the
Yeah,
things that people, like, were saying about the first series with Camp Cretaceous. It's like, nobody's dying, but, like, yes, we
yeah,
were following, like, this group of kids, but, like, now we can push those boundaries a little bit more, and it's kind of it's like, "Whoa, stuff's happening, like, all over the place here," so, I like that. But, yeah, and, anything else that we can think of that we can even begin to mention? We talked a little bit about, the characters and their relationships. There's some great new characters, um, and, yeah, that's about it. I don't wanna say too much about characters, but there's,
there is a theme I want to touch on quickly, which is I really like the fact that we get some insight into investigative journalism, and there's a very interesting plot thread with Brooklyn that basically goes into how far do you go in the pursuit of a story and what happens to you in that process. And I just thought that was a really interesting thing for this show to touch on, because it kind of felt like the thing that you'd almost see in a police drama about an undercover police officer or something. So I just found that
Yeah.
really cool, seeing how they built out that thread.
It's reminding me of not that they, compare in this general way or anything, but like Daredevil, like Daredevil
Yeah.
is a show that like pushes the
Oh,
boundaries
bro,
in terms of like
tomorrow.
is it tomorrow? No, it's tonight for me, man. I got it tonight, dude. But like that show pushes those boundaries in terms of like who is your main character and like what are their motivations and how are they
Yeah,
gonna settle with the things that they've done. And I think that's pretty
yeah.
interesting.
So
Um
yeah, I was really surprised when Diana Santos met Wilson Fisk. I did not see that coming.
I was tangent, but like I was watching Jurassic World with the kids the other day, and
Yeah.
I was just like the entire time I was like, "Hey, look, there's Star-Lord." And I'm like, and that's Gwen Stacy from the Spider-Man movie, and and there's Wilson Fisk right there,
Yeah.
Wilson Fisk right there, and you know what? The one that I actually realized the other day is the other InGen guy that's like on the phone.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever realized that he's the dude from Spider-Man that steals the money
Oh
from the
wow.
original Spider-Man movie. He's the
There we
guy that
go.
like, Toby's just like, I forget the line he says. It's like an iconic line, but like I forget the part where that's my problem or something like that, and he lets the
Yeah.
bad guy go. But yeah, I was just like pointing out all the different Marvel characters, for the Jurassic movies. So yeah, Wilson Fisk might show up. You never
Crossover
know.
is real. Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, just a very satisfying season overall. Very exciting.
Yeah.
I think people will be pretty happy with this one. So I'm excited to talk about it. This is definitely one we got to dive into the full spoilers. So this is probably going to be like one of our shorter spoiler-free
Yeah.
reactions. Do you have anything else to add to our spoiler-free section here?
I think my summary would be, if you have enjoyed Chaos Theory season 1 and 2, then you enjoy this. And I think if you're a big fan of stuff that actually expands the lore outwards, then this season in particular gives you a really good sense for some of what was potentially going on in the background during Jurassic World Dominion. And obviously, we can talk about that a lot more in the spoiler section. But I think some people, I would argue, feel that Jurassic World Rebirth, especially, is moving away from that world too quickly, whereas this series really takes the time to kind of flesh out that world a little bit more and maybe give you an idea of how certain things are happening, how certain creatures are in certain places, and all of those kinds of things. So I think this is really a season that you don't want to miss if you're a fan of that wider world building, because we get quite a bit of that here.
Yeah, as we're getting closer to Rebirth, I'm so happy to just linger in like this Jurassic World
Yeah,
Dominion timeline a little bit more. Not that it's like we're creating a new universe and we're doing different things or anything. It's the same timeline, same universe, same whatever, but like it just feels like we're distancing ourselves from a lot of what came before. So I'm so happy to be kind of still in that moment because personally, I really love Jurassic World Dominion. And I think this show does an excellent job at carrying on those ties to the films and carrying on like that the vibe that those films brought. And I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I really love those movies, and I'm happy to still be sitting in it for a little bit longer.
100%. Yeah, and I would end by saying that, Scott, next time we interview you, whenever that may be, I will be there. I promise. Even if I'm on vacation, even if I'm in a swimming pool, I will join the call.
Oh, don't make promises you can't keep, dude. Scott's gonna be watching for you, dude. But yeah. So again, please check out our full spoiler content coming up when the show releases. It comes out April 3rd, and I'm excited for everybody to see it. It's very fun. 10 episodes, great characters. Building off of Jurassic World Dominion, so you've got a lot to look forward to. But without further ado, I guess we should head out of here. What do you say, Tom? You good about that?
Yeah, I am gonna go and rewatch the show.
before our spoiler conversation. You better fit it all in there. You got a lot to freshen up on.
You mean we're not recording this one back to back? Oh no, I've broken the illusion. Oh no.
Well, everybody, thank you so much. Please go to JurassicParkPodcast.com. Find our episodes there, all of our show information. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those places. We're on Blue Sky now. Just, posting some fun stuff over there. And TikTok, the usual places, Instagram. Just search for Jurassic Park Pod. And if you have any thoughts and feelings, when you do get to watch the series, please let us know. We'll put, an episode together. If you want to send in your audio thoughts, you can do that. Just pick up your phone, hit that record button, and send us a little MP3, in your email. And you can do that to JurassicParkPod@gmail.com, or you can call our voicemail line 732-825-7763, and you can just leave a little voicemail. I think they're about 3 minutes long. Try to keep your recordings that long as well, and I'll put them in an episode. And let us know, what do you think of season 3 of Jurassic World Chaos Theory? Thank you, everybody, so much for watching and listening, and take care. And as always, stay safe, stay Jurassic, whatever Tom used to say, and enjoy.